This study was titled Assessing the Whole Person, Examining How Psychosocial Factors are Considered in Frailty Screening Tools. One current working definition of frailty is that it is a state of increased vulnerability with reduced physical reserve and loss of function across multiple systems. Throughout the literature, there are several factors that have been highlighted to affect frailty risk and frailty status, and these include physical, psychological, and social factors. And while the relationship between physical or biological factors in frailty is widely accepted, the relationship between psychosocial factors in frailty is still somewhat misunderstood. However, researchers and clinicians generally agree that the factors extending beyond the biomedical and physical are important and deserve further attention within academic and clinical realms. So this study aimed to understand how frailty screening tools include psychosocial factors within them. And this was done using two phases. First, a literature search to identify available frailty screening tools and the domains that were included within them. And second, a qualitative interview with stakeholders to understand their perspectives on what they think should be included, and then we synthesized the results. So we searched 4 databases and came up with 79 articles that reflected 67 different frailty screening tools. We then mapped each item on the various frailty screening tools onto the dynamic biopsychosocial model, which is represented here. So this model outlines how biological, psychological, and social or interpersonal factors are influenced by contextual factors and how each of these factors contributes to a person's health status. What we found was that only 42% of frailty screening tools assessed all 4 of the domains, 33% assessed 3 of the 4, 12% assessed 2 of the 4, and 13% assessed 1, and that was always biological. Next, we did the qualitative interviews with older adults 65+, caregivers, and a multidisciplinary group of healthcare providers for their perspectives on what should be included in frailty screening tools. Results indicated that these stakeholders found physical, psychological, social, pharmaceutical, and nutritional factors should be included. Next, we compared the results of the qualitative interviews with the domain mapping results. So all frailty screening tools included a biological factor within them, but falls were considered important by stakeholders, and this was only reflected in some but not all of the tools. Stakeholders felt that confidence was important, and this was not adequately reflected within the psychological domain of frailty screening tools. Social domains, when they were included in frailty screening tools, often asked about whether or not a person lived alone, but stakeholders made an important distinction that living alone does not equal loneliness. Polypharmacy was often reflected in many of the frailty screening tools, but the side effects and the contraindications of the specific medications were not. And nutrition and its physiological implications were often discussed, but the social aspects of eating were often overlooked. So in total, we had 67 frailty screening tools identified within 79 articles. Each of these tools evaluated frailty inconsistently, and stakeholders did identify multifactorial components related to frailty that should be included. This project was supported by the Canadian Frailty Network through the Interdisciplinary Fellowship Program.